This is the first webinar in the 4-webinar series that Department of Biotechnology, Government of India, in association with DBT Wellcome Trust India Alliance, will be bringing to you over the next few weeks. My name is Sara Iqbal, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. I'm sure you would all agree. That biotech response during COVID-19 has been absolutely critical. DBT under the Ministry of Science and Technology has been central to all the science and biotech solutions around COVID that we've been hearing about these past few months. So through these webinars, we plan to bring to you all that DBT and its autonomous institutes and public sector undertakings are doing to mitigate this global health crisis. DBT's multi-pronged strategy has been designed to facilitate development of diagnostics, therapeutics, protective equipment, also provide support to such startups that are working on COVID-19 related research and innovation, scaling up of diagnostic capacity, and also rapid regulatory response for diagnostics, drugs, and vaccines. To tell us more about these efforts, I'm very pleased to welcome and introduce our speakers for today's webinar. We have with us Dr. Renu Swaroop, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Dr. Alka Singh, Advisor, Department of Biotechnology, and Dr. Kavita Singh, who is the Mission Director of the National Biopharma Mission at BIRAC. And apologies, I meant Dr. Alka Sharma. Before we begin, I would like to share a couple of housekeeping items to make sure that this webinar runs smoothly. Can we have the next slide, please, Yukti? So just to let everyone know, this webinar will be recorded and will be available shortly after we finish this webinar. We would also request you all to share your questions in the question box so that we can respond, so that our speakers can respond to these questions at the end of the webinar. So if you are on Twitter, please do consider tagging DBT India and India Alliance, and also our speakers' Twitter handles with the hashtag DBT webinars on COVID-19. With that, I would now like to invite Dr. Swaroop to please tell us about DBT's role in mitigating the current COVID-19 crisis. Welcome, Dr. Swaroop.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and welcome to everyone to this first webinar of the series, DBT's response to COVID-19. I think, first of all, it's important for us to understand that as a country, we've all committed for, again, India fights COVID. I mean, that's the hashtag we've all been following for so long. We were suddenly in the midst of this unprecedented challenge that came to us when COVID struck us. And it was in January when we all realized that we are heading towards this pandemic, when WHO declared it as a pandemic. And that's when it was important that we as a science agency, we as an agency which is deeply engaged in the biotechnology sector, come forward with all stakeholders to be able to then come up with a collective strategy with the Government of India as to frame, say, how is science and technology going to respond to this huge challenge? This COVID war that we are all fighting is a war which is being fought by the scientists, the health workers, and the whole field that's looking at along with the society to see how do we overcome this challenge. Now, what was important for us was to understand a couple of things. Key was that this pandemic was there. It was a reality. It was also important for us to understand that we don't have too much of time with us to look at how research can be framed, how we can then look at what the solutions would be, and how do we then bring those solutions towards application to be able to respond to this. Whatever we had to do, we had to do it with a very, very time-bound nature to say how can we collectively come together and bring the solutions which society is literally demanding at this point of time. The whole biotech sector itself is a complex sector. It's an interdisciplinary sector. And because of that, it's important to bring a lot of stakeholders together. And that's how it's worked the way we progressed in this field, COVID made it all the more important. All the more important for us to come together as a team, to come together as a nation to bring all our strengths together, and more importantly, globally to connect, to collaborate, to be able to see how we bring all the strengths together and bring out the solutions for this global challenge. Be it understanding the virus, which is so important, because unless and until we understand the virus, it's going to be difficult for us to find the solutions. And then, most importantly, the diagnosis, testing for it. How do we do that? Prevention, for which all of us know it's the vaccine that we're all looking towards, and the treatment, which is all the various therapeutics. So each of these, we put in our focused attention, and the Department of Biotechnology, along with its public sector BIRAC, so it's actually a DBT BIRAC research consortium that we launched, but more importantly, a DBT BIRAC COVID response consortium, which was not just the research, but was looking at taking the research to product development. So understanding the virus had its own nuances and complexities, but where are we today? We've got all our institutes across the country, and they've launched a 1,000 genome initiative, which I'm sure my colleagues, both Dr. Alka Sharma and Dr. Kavita Singh, through their presentations, will share more information with you. But what DBT did is, and as all of you, and I'm sure most of you who have joined us for this, have a great understanding of what the DBT ecosystem is. And I think the key strength that we have in DBT is the large ecosystem that we've already built within the country in terms of capacities of human resource, capacities of infrastructure, across all the autonomous institutes of DBT, across the academic institutes, the universities, and also through BIRAC, through with the startups, with the industry, the large incubation network that we have. It was also important, and what gave us strength was the foundation that we had set up in the last many years through DBT, reaching out to these various institutes, building capacities, through BIRAC, creating this vibrant startup ecosystem. And over this last over 2 years, the National Biopharma Mission, which was meant to create an enabling ecosystem within the country to accelerate pharma products. But yes, when we set up these wonderful ecosystems, I don't think any of us imagined that we would really want to use them so very quickly for a pandemic situation. They were all meant to take India to global heights, to take how India responds to the global challenge and say, how can India be a leader in this whole sector of biotech? But these foundations that we have laid have actually now have come to our benefit now to be able to create this wonderful solution that we have been able to do for COVID. For the testing, there'll be more details which Alka and Kavita will share with you. But let me tell you, we were very, very pleased that we could immediately get our startup ecosystem and many other researchers to come forward. I'm very pleased to share with you that when we started this testing, you all recall in February and March, when the numbers were much less, we were looking at 100% import of testing kits, the PCR kits. We built capacities, we got our startups, we got some of our research institutes, we built a small manufacturing hub in Visakhapatnam. And there, with this entire effort, today as I speak with you, we are 100% self-sufficient in our production of testing kits. Not just RT-PCRs, but we also have capacities for antibody kits. When the strategy for testing starts involving them, we will be ready with it, the ELISAs. And now our next step is to work towards the antigen kits. It's also important that when we do this manufacturing locally, we have all components local. And how did this happen? Because we looked at disruption of the supply chains. We did realize that we need to make our own kits. And of course, very recently, our Honorable Prime Minister gave us the clarion call of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So we launched NBRIC, the Biotech Resource Indigenization Consortium. And again, Alka and Kavita will share more details with you. But with this, we've been able to come up to 100% indigenized kit development. The vaccines, which everyone's been really talking about, and we have the media with it all over, but yes, we are definitely there as a part of this global ecosystem that has been taken this up as a challenge. We already had a wonderful partnership with CEPI, and that partnership we could take forward. Today, we have a large number of candidates, which again you'll have more details of in the presentation. But I think what was important is, and that's where I'm trying to emphasize, creating that ecosystem. So we were trying to facilitate this whole development, and that's where we looked at creating a very, very good, transparent, efficient, without compromising on quality, a rapid regulatory response framework. The Department of Biotechnology worked very, very closely with the drug controller, and we're continuing to do that to be able to bring in these regulatory reforms which can facilitate the product development, which can facilitate translation of research to product development. We have been able to see how we could look at taking these vaccines, taking these kits. We're also looking at therapeutics. We're looking at a lot of antivirals. We're looking at natural products because, again, we have a lot of strength in that. DBT is now working with the Ayush Ministry to look at screening of some of the natural compounds to see if we can come up with some antivirals there. We're looking at different therapies, monoclonal antibodies. We're trying to look at antibodies from the plasma fractionation. So there are multiple approaches that we're taking because we all know that no single approach we can be so confident it's going to deliver immediately. It's science, it's technology. There would be success rates, but there may also be, in certain cases, we may need to go back and look at future experiments to take it forward. So it's important to have a multiple mix of these various solutions and then see which ones can immediately respond. We've also looked at trying to make testing accessible to everybody through the various testing clusters that we have set up. What was interesting is the response that we got from our scientific community. I have not been able to see this excellent level of collaboration as we've seen now. They've all come forward to collaborate. Our research laboratories are working now with the medical colleges to set up testing hubs. We've made use of all the infrastructure that we've had in terms of the PCR machines, in terms of our BSL tools, in terms of our RNA extraction units, to be able to make these into testing centers. So while research goes on, they've also taken service as a component. Today, we did realize that access to samples was key and critical for all researchers. DBT, CSIR, ICMR together have set up a large number of biorepositories, which are now looking at samples being made available to our researchers. We've set up these validation centers, which are now doing this antiviral testing. We brought out guidelines on how these validations can happen. We've also now looked at validation of kits and again made standard protocols and guidelines available to facilitate that. So I think the key message that I'm giving to you, that COVID posed a lot of challenges. The challenges we had were of physical distancing, lockdowns, disruption of supply chains, but it's given us a lot of learning, which is going to be an opportunity, not just now, but for the future. The learning that we had is excellent teamwork, excellent collaboration, using technology to our advantage, connecting virtually, yet bringing in the global connect, and most importantly, seeing what is our own strength, how do we build on it, and how do we deliver with that. I think what has come out very clearly is the human face which the science has to understand and deliver for. And I think that really is the response that we've brought in from COVID. We are very pleased that our scientific groups, our researchers, our industry have all come forward, but I think this is something that is to go beyond COVID. This experience that we have, we don't know when COVID will go, but we are sure that this experience that has come in, this learning that has come in, will give us enough strength to be able to say, this may not be the last pandemic which will strike the world, maybe in our lifetime, maybe in other lifetimes. But it will probably be a good learning for us to bring in how science responds to emergencies, to solution to society. So I think this is really what we've been able to do. There are a lot of details about what DBT BIRAC has done in collaboration with other departments, in collaboration with the industry, in collaboration with working with startups, with regulators, and both Dr. Alka Sharma and Dr. Kavita Singh will share these details with you. So thank you very much for being with us. As Sarah said, this is the first of the series. As we go along, this is just the overview. We will then take you through our autonomous institutes, take you through each of the verticals, take you through with the startups, with the research groups to understand deeply how science has responded. So thank you, stay engaged with us, and I'm sure you'll find this very interesting because you are going to be a part of this whole challenge that we are collectively taking forward. So thank you very much, and thank you, Sarah, and thank you everyone here for this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Swaroop, especially for those inspiring words and really helping us understand how DBT is playing an important role in helping the country wade through the crisis, and that by leveraging the research and innovation capacity and infrastructure and a strong biotech research ecosystem that DBT has built and nurtured over the last couple of decades. So thank you very much for that. And so next, I would like to invite Dr. Alka Sharma to tell us a bit more about, perhaps in more detail, about DBT's COVID-19 efforts. So over to you, Dr. Sharma.
Mr. Secretary, my colleague Dr. Kavita, and all the participants here. Secretary has given an broad overview of the DBT's efforts so far to combat COVID-19. Today I am going to provide you an overview on the efforts being made by Department of Biotechnology, its PSU, BIRAC, for which my colleague Dr. Kavita Singh here, she will provide you more detail, and autonomous institutions of Department of Biotechnology to combat COVID-19. As you know, our government is determined to battle this crisis at all fronts, recognizing the necessity for a readiness plan to tackle the COVID-19 infection. The DBT has evolved a multi-pronged strategy and action plan focusing on immediate response as well as for long-term preparedness. This includes, as Secretary mentioned very clearly, that COVID-19 Research Consortium, which have been formed jointly by Department of Biotechnology and its PSU BIRAC to consider and support proposals for development of diagnostics, vaccines, therapeutics, and repurposing of drugs. Efforts being made by the autonomous institutions of Department of Biotechnology for COVID-19, initiative taken for indigenization of resources, and solution being provided by the startups to address COVID-19 challenges. We are also facilitating COVID-19 testing across the country in addition to providing support for R&D. Last but very important component of this strategy is the current biosafety regulation for COVID-19. So as mentioned by our secretary, the DBT along with BIRAC has established a COVID-19 research consortium. Under this consortium, 2 rounds of joint calls have been issued for inviting proposals on various aspects of COVID-19. Under diagnostic, the focus is on developing various diagnostic kits and assays for diagnosis of coronavirus. Potential industry partners have been identified for indigenous production and scaling up of production of molecular and rapid diagnostic tests. For vaccine research and development, the technology platforms have been created across the country and now are being used for development of vaccine candidates and also novel vaccine manufacturing. For vaccine research, Department of Biotechnology has also participated with Global CEPI in their call for COVID-19 through India-centric and CEPI mission. We are actively supporting our Indian industry applicants that are being selected under the call. Efforts are also being made on developing in vitro assays, animal models, therapeutics, and repurposing of drugs for COVID-19. Multicentric genomic studies are also being conducted for pathogens and host genomics. And so far, a number of proposals have been supported for development of vaccine, therapeutics, diagnostics, repurposing of drugs, and other interventions.
Just sorry to interrupt, Dr. Sharma. Your slides are not moving. Do you want us to play the
Please go
slide?
ahead.
Okay,
So
sure.
I'm on slide number 4.
Okay, sure. We'll do that. Just give us a minute. Yeah, just give us a minute.
You can run through from slide number 2 onwards if you have not seen those slides.
We can move to the next one.
So this is DBT's Autonomous Institutes efforts made so far. Slide number 4.
Next slide.
I can't see.
Are you unable to see the slides, Dr. Sharma?
Right, yes. Yes, I can't see.
Can you see them now?
No, just a minute. Yeah. So yeah, correct. So for coming to vaccine research and development, which is one of the major thrusts of the Department of Biotechnology, as you can see from this slide, the development of vaccine is a long process and requires large capital and resource investments. However, for COVID-19 pandemic, there is a need to have a highly compressed approach for vaccine development. Here I would like to highlight that the DBT is acting as a facilitator for creating and promoting vaccine development platform for end-to-end processes, that is from discovery and early stage development followed by preclinical studies and then clinical trials. DBT and BIREC have provided support to the academic institutions as well as industries for development of vaccine candidates. We actively engage with all of them to support and promote their efforts. Next slide, please. So this table indicates engagement of industries in developing various vaccine candidates with their current stages of development. Next slide, please. Support has also been provided to the scientists and their teams in our autonomous institutions of DBT, having expertise for vaccine research and development. They are engaged in development of vaccine candidates, which are at various stages of development. Next. So this slide shows overall research activities being carried out by our autonomous institutions. Focus is on developing nucleic acid, antigen, and antibody-based diagnostics, as mentioned by our secretary in her remarks. Next, please. So under Make in India initiative of the government, we have established DBT AMTZ Command Consortia at Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh as a major platform having common shared facilities. These facilities are being made available to the small companies and startups to manufacture their products. Currently, the support has also been provided to manufacture ventilators and various diagnostic kits. Next. Efforts are also on development of antiviral and antibodies as therapeutics or prophylactics against this virus. This includes repurposing of existing drugs, in silico and in vitro screening for virus inhibitors, and so on. The compounds with potential antiviral activities will be now tested both in cell culture and animal models, followed by preclinical development. One of our autonomous institutions, that is NIBMG Kalyani, is coordinating Pan-India and Pan-DBT autonomous institutes, national consortium effort for sequencing of genome of this virus. The study national initiative of sequencing 1,000 viral genome of the virus will involve genome sequencing of pathogens as well as host genome to generate data from circulating virus as well as infected hosts during the outbreak. So, as you all know that in the current global scenario, indigenization of resources is the key to deal with the crisis of COVID-19. Accordingly, next slide please. Accordingly, DBT has taken an initiative with the stakeholders to promote indigenization of biomedical resources in the country to fight COVID-19 pandemic and established National Biomedical Resource Indigenization Consortium, that is NBRIC. And this will be a nationwide collaborative platform to drive indigenous innovation focused on developing reagents, diagnostics, vaccines, and therapeutics for COVID-19. So under Make in India initiative, the key component of NBRIC are establishing core service capabilities to enhance domestic commercial manufacturing, building indigenous manufacturing capacity and capability to mitigate import dependency, and also strengthening the ecosystem including policy level intervention. Apart from promoting research and development, DBT is also facilitating enhancing the testing capacity for COVID-19 across the country. So coming to the next slide, where I would like to show you that in order to meet the demand for testing of COVID-19 in the country, the city and regional cluster of testing centers have been established in a hub and spoke model in the institutions of eminence under central and state government to utilize existing capacities for molecular biology and biosafety in the country. The institutes and laboratories which have the capacity and expertise for sample collection, handling, processing, and testing are serving as hubs. These hubs are mainly government laboratories approved by the respective ministries and departments as per the guidelines issued by ICMR. The testing capacity of these clusters are being scaled up. So far, 20 city and regional clusters have been established with the participation of more than 100 testing laboratories, and large number of samples have now been tested by these laboratories. So this is something very unique model and first of its kind in the country, which I am going to tell you through this slide. So DBT also has explored building of mobile vans to facilitate testing in rural settings of the country. This is a well-equipped lab, and this with all the necessary equipments to perform testing of COVID-19, and this well-equipped lab has been launched very recently by our Honorable Prime Minister, and that was on 18th June. So this is the best example for indigenization of resources. Next slide, please. So far, as you all know, DBT along with BIRAC has created a vibrant biotech ecosystem across the country to promote and support innovation. So now we are working with the startups to identify and scale up their COVID-19 healthcare prevention and treatment solutions. And now they all are coming up with a number of solutions for COVID-19, which are now being evaluated at various stages in the government. Next, please. So, as we all know, the regulatory framework which we have in the country is also very important to facilitate all the activities which are now being performed by the government. So for COVID-19 also a fast-track regulatory approval mechanism has been established. And in the next slide, I would like to share with you that in order to facilitate development of vaccine, diagnostics and drugs for COVID-19, DBT along with Drug Controller General of India CDCSO has developed a rapid response regulatory framework to provide expedited regulatory approvals. Interim guidance document on laboratory biosafety to handle COVID-19 specimen has also been issued to ensure laboratory biosafety to be followed in handling and processing clinical samples, infectious virus for diagnostic testing and R&D work to develop new diagnostics and therapeutics for COVID. Guidelines for sharing of biospecimen and data for research on COVID has been issued by NITI Aayog, and a rapid regulatory pathway for COVID vaccine is also being developed to facilitate WHO CEPI's global trial. So in this slide, I would like to highlight that the special first hub, which was created 2 years back as per the recommendation of the NITI Aayog. Now DBT and BIRAC have initiated a special first hub, that is facilitation of innovation and regulation for startups and innovators on a weekly basis. So every Friday we are having a dedicated session of first hub to provide the solutions to startups and innovators, and we are addressing the queries being raised by innovators, startups, industries and academicians to facilitate their activities. So this is something very unique platform where we have representative from all interministerial departments to deal with the issues which are being faced by the startups and innovators. And we have representative from Department of Biotechnology, BIRAC, CDCSO, Ministry of Health, NIV, and also other various ministries concerned. So this platform is very useful for the newcomers, for the startups, where they can come up with their queries. And now it is being due to COVID scenario. Now the session is being organized every Friday, as I mentioned. So I will stop here. Now would be happy to address the questions related to any of the initiatives which we have taken to combat COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alka. It is indeed quite encouraging to see DBT's proactive role in mitigating the COVID-19 crisis through these efforts. That was a very informative presentation. Dr. Sharma will take questions right after Dr. Singh's presentation. So if I can now invite Dr. Kavita Singh to tell us about DBT Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, which is BIRAC's role in responding to the COVID-19 crisis. Over to you, Dr. Singh.
Thank you, Sarah. Are my slides visible?
Yes, they are.
And I am audible also, considering you responded. So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Dr. Alka. And I believe the secretary had to step out for some time. But thanks to her for setting up this framework for today's overall discussion. And a couple of things before I start with the small brief presentation I put up for this together, sort of representing BIRAC. Basically, I don't have the bandwidth to represent the DBT's number of activities that have been initiated, so I'll limit my talk to BIRAC. Also, just as an upfront, sorry, there'll be some couple of duplication of slides which you would have seen in Dr. Alka's slide deck, and you might see them here also. We didn't have a chance to exchange the slides at the last moment, so just excuse us for that. Now, coming to this BIRAC's response, I said DBT, but BIRAC is sort of DBT's baby. So BIRAC, what it has done, so considering the magnitude of the detrimental impact this new virus or this new disease has in future or has done in the past few months, it was very critical that we all act together. It was critical that all scientific departments, scientific agencies, they collaborate, they leverage what has been created. Quick scale up is brought out, which products are deployed, which are possible. All of them are not possible, we do understand that, but whichever is possible. And so within that framework, I'm going to just talk a little bit more deep dive than what has been explained. That's what sort of products which have been put out, which have been supported, which have been thought to be having reasonable scientific rationale behind them, which would help in the coming times or which have helped in the past few months. So one thing which I would certainly like to point out right in the beginning, that this whole bunch of activities which were possible were not because we decided the day January when it was decided, we are seeing the first case in India, and March when it was decided it's a pandemic. Cannot be a sudden scale up which can happen. So this is the result of DPT's sustained efforts in building BARAC. In fact, BARAC is one of its very unique organization which you might not see in many countries across the globe. But it is this sustained, continuous, persistent effort over the past 8 years to build a biotech ecosystem, both startup, infrastructure, capacity, because of which today when we had this huge challenge hitting us, that para could play the role of being a financial provider, and in the same breath I would say also be a facilitator. And as has already been explained both by Dr. Swaroop and by Dr. Alka, that the support naturally we required, we understand we need to create diagnostics, because test is what WHO has been constantly been advising every country. We know for prevention there's a very strong need of vaccines, therapeutics, repurposing, a lot of other interventions to provide to our healthcare workers and to provide to the hospitals while they're taking care of the sick around. And while these are very specific product development we look at, there is an equal responsibility to ensure that there is appropriate development of infrastructure, resources which are required for product development. And when you strengthen the ecosystem, what you get is that everybody gets access to that infrastructure, that resource. So what Dr. Alka said, that NBRIC is established. What it gets, it links people, and it gives them that bandwidth to connect with each other also. So it's very important that both are done, and at the same time, it's not possible that you start creating a facility for animal challenge 6 months or 1 month, 1 year from now. It's important it's developed now, so that any product developed by any Indian company can easily use it as a pathway and go forward. While on the right side, you will see on the right side of the circle, we're saying it's a facilitatory role, which is also extremely critical. When we said it's very important we all collaborate, because it's important to connect. Connect is important to bring all these stakeholders together. And because of because of both these verticals which BIRAC could sort of act upon, is the possibility that we have been able to do some indigenous development. There has been the endpoint of scaling up of diagnostics with developing vaccines and other products which are required. So the initiatives which have been taken, I've sort of divided for your comfort here. What were the immediate actions which were required? What are little short-term actions? And when we say actions, it actually means deliverables. So it was important that we identify and fast-track development of preventive and screening aids, monitoring aids, assistive aids. Then as a short term, it was critical that we become self-reliant and self-sufficient in diagnostics. And it's critical that we do along, because we all understand product development, especially therapeutics and vaccines, are a long-term development pathway, was actually in ideal circumstances anything between 6 to 12 years, which we know today are trying to compress between 1 to 2 to 3 years. So it was important, it was very critical that these be segregated so that our focus is accordingly targeted, and there are certain constant deliverables which are made available to our Indian community, to our Indians at an affordable cost. So there are a lot of targets when you start thinking about a government supporting product development. So when we talk about our immediate actions, then yes, what BIRAC did was immediately call out for products which have a role to play in COVID management of COVID patients, and they could be deployed immediately. So this whole process was started in April, and co-funding was given along with other agencies if they wanted, or even the startups could directly reach out, and they were given a target of number of products which had to be deployed from April, May, June, July onwards. So this was a short term, but yes, what we wanted to see was products available there for people to use. And this slide though already has been covered by Dr. Alka, but I'll just bring here one important point that if you see the two numbers given on the left side, so 192 products which were already in advanced development by BIRAC incubators and the BIRAC ecosystem were shortlisted. Similarly, already 150 products which are in the market were shortlisted, and it was realized that 20 of them were certainly extremely useful and relevant respiratory aid, assistive aids products which were required by the patients of the country. So those were the ones that was many of them were supported. They were connected to larger companies. They were connected to other ministries. They were connected to the end user. And BIRAC also ensured that to have a very wide impact reach out, it co-funds the startups with other funding agencies. So this one of the example which was given is IKP, where BIRAC has funded 15 startups, which again have products which are deployable. So that word was critical for us as an immediate action item of making the product available. The next we go to is how do we do, what is it that we did for short-term action, that is where a maximum stress was on diagnostics, because till you diagnose, till you isolate, the whole cycle is not controlled. So here one of, again, Dr. Alka did mention about the command consortia, and this is where it was a beautiful test case which was being developed for a few years. For the last couple of years, this medtech park, the largest medtech park in Asia, has been being supported, and it has certainly been put to the best use in the last few months, where there has been a rapid scale up of both ventilators, which we all knew our India was grossly short of ventilators, and the diagnostic kits, whether they were RT-PCR or they were serological kits. So again, what I was been emphasizing, that it's not just to scale up. It is critical to have continuously work on our country's scientific infrastructure, so that when the need arises, we have it there. The other deficiency which was immediately identified is when a company were trying to scale up, they realized that much of the components which go into making a kit were being imported. So when as Dr. Swaroop did mention, did refer to it, then when the supply chains got disrupted, it again impacted our capacity to create these diagnostic kits. So whether they are primers or probes, or we need antigens, even things like RNA extraction kit, we were all importing. Even the viral transport media was being imported. Even the swabs were being imported. But today, so the secretary said, we are happy to share that many companies who were working in this, maybe not exactly making the material transport media, but had the capacity, capability, the know-how to make it, because of the financial support and the commitment of purchase which they saw through the NBRIC when they got connected to the larger companies who needed it. The whole ecosystem sort of came forward to support this final endpoint, that we should be making indigenous diagnostic kits. And on similar platform, when we wanted to reach out, ensure that the testing facilities are made available even to the remote areas of the country, again, AMTZ along with TransAsia, this medical device in this AMTZ park at Visakhapatnam, again stood up and has created this lab, which is it's a BSL-2 lab, which can do both RT-PCR and the serological test within this small mobile platform, and it can be taken to any part of the country over on the wheels. This command consortia has also allowed us, so if you see, these were the sudden, so all these companies which did not have the scale up capacity, and it was not possible for them to build up immediately the scale up capacities. They had those small numbers of products they were making every month, got access to common utilities, got access to shared areas. They didn't have to build up all this. And this COVID medtech development and medtech and command development strategy was put. Is working towards it. It's already delivered. Is delivering about 75 ventilators. I'm sorry, I think this is this number. I'll just check once again. But they are made till now. 300,000 molecular diagnostic kits have been manufactured, which have allowed us to be self-reliant. And of course, many other companies have also worked towards. My Lab is one of those companies which has been supported for large scale up. And while we are working towards this, it's not just not one platform of diagnostic we would like any country would like to focus on, because One is we don't know which one is most easier for any lab to adapt. Second is the raw material required or the components required for each kit are different. So it's good to have variety of platforms, and a similar approach you would see in vaccines. When we don't know what will be good, you'll see that we would, it's just like you don't put all your eggs in one basket, which you normally talk for financial instruments. A similar thing is for the scientific strategy also. Today, when we didn't know, and today when we know that we don't know how long we would need all these platforms, it was important to support many multiple companies, multiple startups, multiple mid-sized companies, to ensure that we have rapid cart tests, to ensure we have access to ELISA kits, to ensure we have enough RT-PCR kits, and even open tube platforms, which are a little quicker to do. The importance of other intervention products, which are both monitoring and assistive in nature, cannot be undermined at this time. And we all know that we have been using this disinfections. We've been with the need for sterilizing and a large public space in our offices. So the products catering towards that need were also important to support. Similarly, PPE, which is one of the most beautiful example India talks today of not being able to create much PPEs for its own consumption, to being one of the very large exporter today of can export today. I mean, we don't export as much as we can, but we have the ability today. So all these products have also been supported under the different mechanisms of our research consortium. I'm just leaving this slide for 5 seconds for you to just get a hang of it. And then we come to one of the most interesting areas of functioning, which is a little long term, which we know will take time, for which we know the resources required are much beyond just supporting the affordable product development. It's critical. And as did say it in the beginning, it's very important that if we want to ensure many companies within the country, both startups, small, large, should get access to common resources. And for vaccine development, those common resources are assays, those are animal models, there are clinical immunogenicity readouts, high throughput readouts, challenge models, clinical trial sites, hospital sites where many of them would like to do a hospital trial in healthcare workers, or they would like to do a large phase 3 trial in the population-based studies. It was critical that DBT BIRAC thinks about it and just not looks at company and supports the company, because companies need access. The faster we give access to these resources, the faster and will be the race, or the faster will be the pace at which our companies will be able to deliver. So yes, there have been certain efforts of ensuring that the labs do immunogenicity assays, and every company doesn't have to have its own validated platform of assays. It's important that even the protein, if it's made available, then it can be quickly used as it's like a raw material to be used for doing assays. Pseudovirus, to ensure that we can do our neutralization assays, we can establish them. We don't need a BSL-3 facility every time with a virus to do neutralization. So these are some common resources which have been looked at. And this slide has also already been shown by Dr. Alka. So you would see a platform, all possible platforms. There is a repurposing vaccine of BCG, whose trial we are hoping to get the data in September. If that helps in training the immunity, and it may be used for our healthcare workers, the frontline workers, the other people who are essential staff. DNA platform vaccine, if you would have read yesterday, got its permission to do the phase 1 trial. It's done by another Indian company. And already a rabies vector platform, which can show COVID-19, a self-amplifying mRNA, a Vesiclovax platform, or a spike protein. So majority of the platforms of vaccines which are required, which are being developed globally, are available within the country also. And we also, I should finish up in next 2-3 minutes. It was important that you have clinical trial sites which we can have the confidence of getting electronic data, and in advance start the community engagement and ensure that these sites are compliant to the GCP guidelines, because it is difficult to suddenly wrap up your capacities. If you have not trained your sites well, you will not get the readouts of a large vaccine efficacy trial when you're looking at it. So these 5 sites were already started working and training them. Most of them are experienced sites. They have access to large, about 500,000 to 1 lakh population, which they can follow up. We want to ensure that when we're doing a trial, we don't want to lose follow-up of any subject, because we look at for efficacy in terms of infection and diseases. These are new sites which again have been funded, and they should be ready in next few months. We sort of staggered it. We realize our bandwidth is not always enough to do many things at a time. A therapeutic portfolio also, you would see, is pretty is widespread. While with companies who are making immunoglobulin, so plasma therapy, yes, we all know, is one of the most favored platform, one of the most favored interventional agent today. But having immunoglobulin at commercial scale would certainly make things easier, make it more accessible even to like Delhi has the first plasma bank, maybe at cities which don't have them. Similarly, equine immunoglobulin, which has been an age-old product available for different diseases, similarly is being attempted for COVID. And therapeutic antibodies with B-cell isolation or isolation of antibodies from past displayed naive and immunized libraries will be looked at. We're also looking at studying the PEG interferon alpha in the patients, because this particular arm is not there in the solidarity trial or in the recovery trial. So it's important that it be looked at. And just like vaccines, even resources to support therapeutic development, whether it is to have an in vitro platform using an organoid technology, or having an ACE2 transgenic mouse, or having a cell line of epithelial lung cells which can allow identification of new therapeutic targets. These are all made as a service facility. So it is important to have them. And I think I'll just skip my next 2 slides because most of it has been said by Dr. Alka, that all these startup deployable solutions have been facilitated. Just leave it for a couple of seconds. These have been supported in the last few years by BARAC, but they have come handy at this point of time. And there's also all the facilitatory role of whether it's regulatory support, which has been talked about. There has been legal guidance, which has been given out in the association with legal associates. And similarly, CSR funds, if can be made available at this point of time, then when the scientific agents, companies and scientific agencies really need them. Similarly, webinars and international collaboration to help scale up and even make the products available across the globe. I think that's where I'll stop. I'm sorry, Sarah, if I've taken more time than was allotted.
No, not at all. Thank you so much, Dr. Singh. That was a very helpful overview of BIRAC's efforts to tackle COVID-19. Can I now request, we have just a few minutes left in this webinar. So can I request Dr. Singh and Dr. Sharma to, if you could switch on your cameras, we can take a few audience questions. Yes, great, thank you. So maybe first, this question is perhaps for both of you. How can researchers who are not part of the DBT network or BIRAC, how can they contribute to DBT's ongoing efforts? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Chalka, you want to go first, please?
So yeah, sure. So if they are not the part of the current activities of DBT or BIRAC, and they would like to now be associated with the activities to work on COVID. So there are details available on both the websites, that is DBT and BIRAC websites. So depending on their interest and also nature of activities, what they are doing. So the variety of proposals which falls under the vaccine, diagnostics, therapeutics, capacity building, infrastructure, training program. So they all are there, and on the website, depending on their interest, they can choose any one of them, and they can be associated with any of the programs which are with DBT and BIRAC.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to add anything to this, Dr. Singh?
No, not really, Sarah. It says that BIRAC, I mean, the limitation BIRAC has, it does have its calls announced at fixed intervals, and they're closed. And some of them may be open at this point of time, and some of them will open in the next couple of weeks or months. So it's a constant. I would recommend please keep visiting websites. It gives you a chance.
Great. Okay, thank you. And there's the QR code here, and also link to DBT's website. So you can please, you can scan the code or just click on the link and you can see the list of COVID-19 calls from DBT and BIRAC. Right. So, Dr. Singh, you mentioned international partnerships for enabling COVID-19 research. So, could you tell us a little bit more about that, both BIRAC's efforts and DBT's efforts in leveraging these partnerships?
Okay, I think there are a lot of DBT, much of them are DBT partnerships, and I normally don't like to segregate DBT and BIRAC. I feel they're one. So yes, the main partnerships which are really coming very supportive at this point of time, which DBT has and is functioning, is the partnership with CEPI. That's a coalition for epidemic preparedness. Then there's partnership with NIH US under the Vaccine Action Program, again, which Dr. Alka is a very important part. She's their lead role there. Then there is a lot of engagement with WHO, which is happening. So DBT is looking at doing the solidarity trial along with the WHO, the global harmonized protocol trial. Then there are, Dr. Alka, what am I missing out? And of course, BIRAC has its own partnership with Sweden, with so many countries. Dr. Alka, sorry, over to you.
No, it's okay. So just to add to what Dr. Kavita said, we have very active partnership with Finland and Sweden, especially focused on startup activities. We have exchange program of a startup, and now we are continuing the same for COVID also. Recently, we had 2 webinars with them, and now we are planning to have a virtual meetings, conferences focused on startups, how these startups can work together, especially to solve the problems and solutions to COVID-19. So as Kavita rightly said that CEPI and this web program are very dedicated program with all vaccine related program, and also now we are actively working together for COVID-19 solutions. So for innovators and startups, other countries, including, as I mentioned, Finland and Sweden.
Okay, thank you both of you. Then one final question, I think, because we've almost reached the end. So BIRAC has partnered with Invest India to seek CSR funds for COVID-19 research consortium. So Dr. Singh, can you tell us a bit more about that, maybe?
So I wish my colleague was here, my colleague who is spearheading it, Dr. Manish Diwan. I don't have much details. I know they are working together. They have been successful in some efforts. I'm sorry, but I don't know the details of where we have reached there, the end point. Okay. I know they're still engaged. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Dr. Kavita, I can take this question. Sure. Yeah, so DBT and BIRAC, we are jointly working with Invest India. And in it, we are now from the government also. There are many joint partnership, and that is as per the recommendations of NITI Aayog and other forum, from where we now we have set up a small unit, which is actually now it's across the government product development cell, where we are working together to bring investment from the international partners to the country. And as you rightly mentioned, that there are various schemes and guidelines available through which we are now working together to see that how much can be now new programs can be developed where we can attract investment from outside the country.
Great. Thank you so much. We've just hit 5:30, so I'll close this webinar, and I'll really want to thank Dr. Swaroop, who unfortunately had to leave, but a huge thanks to Dr. Sharma and Dr. Singh for taking time out and sharing these informative presentations with us. Thank you also to the audience for staying with us for the full hour. We had a full house throughout the webinar. And please request you to stay tuned. We'll be organizing more webinars in this series, and you will be receiving this information on these webinars through our social media channels and also through our other communication channels. So take very good care of yourself and your loved ones, and let's remember that we're all in this together. Have a safe weekend. Bye.
Bye, Sarah. Thanks,
Sarah.
Thanks to everybody.